Focus your attention on this surveillance footage, which documents the sequence of events preceding the abduction of Samantha Koenig on February 1st, 2012. 18-year-old Samantha Koenig is occupied with closing procedures at the coffee kiosk, where she is employed in Anchorage, Alaska, while repeatedly checking her cellular device. She is anticipating a message from her significant other. While outside, the temperature has plummeted well below zero, and the vicinity has been devoid of activity for some time. The time is 8:15 p.m. when a security feed captures a shadowed figure emerging from across the lot, advancing directly toward the service window. Samantha is observed conversing with the subject before turning away to prepare a beverage. And initially, the interaction appears entirely routine. She engages with the male just as she would with a typical patron, until she suddenly recoils, raising both hands in a defensive posture of apparent terror. But observe closely. Over the subsequent few minutes, she manages to leave behind a critical clue that could jeopardize his entire scheme, even as she complies with his directives. She extinguishes the illumination in the front and rear areas, obscuring the view inside, though she appears to be extracting currency from the register. Subsequently, she crouches low to the floor to don her jacket, after which the assailant commands her to turn away as he leans through the service opening. He proceeds to restrain her hands behind her back before vaulting through the window and entering the enclosed space, leaving them together for the next several minutes. Samantha remains trapped, facing an uncertain fate, and when they finally rise to exit the premises, she appears to have been gagged. Precisely at 8:25 p.m., she exits the kiosk with the perpetrator flanking her closely, and they traverse the lot before banking right onto Fairbanks Street. They vanish from the frame, marking the moment 18-year-old Samantha Koenig is abducted, with the world currently oblivious to her disappearance. However, scrutinize the scene. A flashing light pulses inside the stand, where Samantha abandoned her phone, a detail that will later baffle law enforcement. This is because her boyfriend reportedly receives a text from her device 3 hours post-disappearance, setting a mysterious stage in 2012 Anchorage, Alaska. The 18-year-old victim leads a contented existence with her father, James, a devoted parent who cherishes her above all else. James, having maintained sole custody since she was 2 years old, strives to ensure her safety, though as a high school senior, she naturally enjoys socializing. To support her happiness, James has even permitted her boyfriend, Dwayne, to reside within their family home.
Samantha and her dad were very close.
He's a really sweet person, a biker-type fellow. Samantha was his only biological child. Samantha was his world.
Harboring aspirations of entering veterinary medicine, Samantha has been saving funds for her future with the active support and preparation of her father. She recently commenced employment at an establishment known as Common Grounds, and on February 1st, she is staffing the evening shift solo, with Dwayne scheduled to retrieve her later. It is precisely 8:30 p.m. when Dwayne pulls up to the coffee kiosk, only to discover the lights extinguished and the establishment completely deserted. He attempts to reach Samantha's cellular device multiple times to no avail, leading him to deduce that his lateness caused her to secure a ride with another party. Consequently, he elects to return to their shared residence to await her return. It is not until 11:30 p.m., 3 hours post-shift, that Dwayne receives a reply. However, the incoming text only serves to compound his confusion, as she asserts that she is aware of his alleged actions and intends to stay with friends for several days. The message indicates a need for time to process and an intent to inform her father, leaving Dwayne completely bewildered as he cannot fathom what transgression he supposedly committed. Such an offense would justify her ire, yet upon sharing the digital correspondence with Samantha's father, James, the patriarch immediately notes that the syntax does not align with his daughter. At 3 o'clock in the morning, insomnia grips Dwayne, compelling him to keep vigil on the front porch in the desperate hope that Samantha will materialize. When he detects a shadowed figure rummaging through the interior of his truck, Dwayne bellows at the intruder and dashes inside to alert James, but the effort is futile. The individual has fled by the time they return. On February 2nd at 12:39 p.m., the Anchorage Police Department accepts a critical 911 emergency call.
911, what is the location of the emergency?
I am at Common Grounds Espresso on Old Stewart and Tudor. My daughter works at the Common Grounds Espresso. She's been missing since she got off work last night.
What's your daughter's name?
Samantha Koenig.
That officer's on your way.
Officer Kevin M. is the first unit to arrive at the location.
Got a call towards the end of the shift about a possible abduction from a barista at a coffee shop. I get there and talk to the barista's father and her boyfriend.
I was concerned when he showed up at 8:15 to pick her up and she wasn't here.
So I'm trying to put all this together. I have a father and boyfriend who say that a girl didn't come home. You get this weird text, and now somebody's rummaging through her truck, but they didn't call the police. That would be the most logical thing in my mind.
In her truck?
Yes, sir.
At home?
Yeah.
Any reason we didn't report it?
I just figured that she just had someone go get something out of her truck.
I'm thinking maybe she's got another boyfriend somewhere and she didn't want to come home. I don't know if this is truly an abduction, but we still have to investigate it as if it was.
And as he turns his investigative focus toward the coffee stand, he conducts a preliminary interview with the morning barista.
It basically looked like someone just literally walked out of their shift. I started kind of noticing a little bit more things. I looked in my register, looked for the money that goes in my register. It was gone. Then I looked in our deposit bags. They were all gone.
Several officers were at the scene. We searched the coffee stand, collecting evidence.
I worked and worked and worked, trying to find evidence of any kind inside that coffee hut. Not only did I not find anything, there was no sign of struggle.
Yet the trajectory of the case shifts drastically. Once authorities secure the surveillance footage, detectives advance the recording to 8 p.m., coinciding with Samantha's scheduled departure, and immediately observe her in solitude, performing routine sanitation duties. At 8:15 p.m., a male subject approaches on foot and advances toward the service window, prompting Samantha to engage the customer and initiate a brew. She is observed interacting with him briefly.
At one point, she turns towards the window and she reacts
before suddenly recoiling and raising her hands, leading investigators to conclude the suspect is brandishing a firearm.
She then walks across the coffee stand and turns the lights off.
The officers reviewing the tape watch as she moves to the register to extract the currency, dons her outerwear, and subsequently drops to the floorboards, allowing the intruder to secure her wrists with restraints. The detectives remain unable to identify the assailant as he stays outside the camera's field of view until Samantha exits the window.
He jumped through the window in like almost one leap. He just comes into the window. At that point, it almost seems like things calm down. He's in there a long time before they leave.
The perpetrator forces napkins into the victim's mouth to silence her before physically escorting her out of the structure and into the night. Surveillance captures the pair traversing the parking lot, but upon scrutinizing the footage repeatedly, the investigative team identifies several alarming anomalies.
Right next to the light switch, there's an alarm. If she was in danger, why didn't she hit the alarm? She had a perfect chance to press the alarm button. She didn't do that. When we looked at that video for a longer time, we noticed that there was like a light showing up on the counter. The light would come on and then it would disappear.
Samantha's phone is clearly visible, lighting up with Dwayne's calls during the abduction, yet the puzzling text message was not transmitted to Dwayne until 11:30 p.m. Utilizing this discrepancy, investigators fast-forward the security feed until they detect significant movement occurring at 11:26 p.m.
The person came to the coffee stand. That person was wearing a headlight.
The perpetrator returned to the scene with the specific intent of retrieving Samantha's phone before fleeing.
That also coincided with the fact that the first texts from Samantha's phone came at 11:30 p.m.
He then utilized the device to send a deceptive text message to her boyfriend, aiming to delay any report to law enforcement for as long as possible. This development is absolutely chilling. It raises the question, where was Samantha during this return trip? Was she restrained inside his vehicle, held captive at an undisclosed location, or suffering an even darker fate?
We told the media we have a video, and it's apparent from the video that it's kidnapping.
2 of us left and 1 with us.
As the police investigation kicked into high gear, James, Samantha's father, is spearheading the search for his daughter.
Before you check out, head out.
Samantha was last wearing a pair of furry black boots.
It was just so obvious how much her father cared about Samantha and what a close relationship they had.
James was devastated that his daughter was missing, and he had no idea where she was or what had happened to her.
I don't know if my daughter's being fed, taken care of, if she's still alive, if she's getting any sleep. Please help find my daughter.
The city of Anchorage was on heightened alert.
For it to actually happen so out of the blue, I mean, it's scary.
I can't believe this happened here in Anchorage.
While the Anchorage Police Department has formally requested assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they possess very few actionable leads at this stage.
First 48 hours or so in any case is important to try to develop as many leads as you can.
By February 4th, Samantha has been missing for 3 days. James Koenig has launched a fundraising effort for a reward, and contributions are flooding in by the hundreds. The fund has now reached $41,000 for information leading to her safe return. As the inquiry expands, the FBI secures surveillance footage from the Home Depot parking lot, located directly across the street from the coffee stand.
You could see a couple walking through the parking lot near a busy restaurant and go into a vehicle.
Building on this evidence, they proceed to acquire additional tapes from adjacent street cameras. Although the video quality is too grainy to identify the license plate, investigators have isolated the suspect's vehicle type.
So we knew it was a white Chevy pickup truck that the suspect was using.
The challenge is that there are roughly 700 white Chevy pickups, matching that description in the city of Anchorage alone. As days drift by, detectives exhaust every lead, yet they remain no closer to locating Samantha. Days quickly lengthen into weeks. Refusing to sit on the sidelines while his daughter remains missing, James turns to social media to amplify awareness of Samantha's disappearance.
Right now, we're probably getting 2 or 3 tips a day. Whether they're helpful or not, I really can't decide. I don't know what avenue the police are taking in the investigation.
There were, of course, trolls, like there is in any social media. There were people that had their own view that she wasn't actually missing. People can be so cruel.
You know, I got to keep my spirits up and know that my heart still feels her and she's okay.
James Koenig pretty much called me daily. Slav, do you have anything new for me? Slav, is there anything we could do? Of course, I had a lot of sympathy for him. I'm a police officer, but I'm also a father. My daughter at the time was working in a coffee stand. You know, if it happened to Samantha, it could happen to somebody else.
It is now February 24th. Samantha has been gone for 23 days. James is attending a strategy meeting at a restaurant with the search team when suddenly, Samantha's boyfriend, Dwayne, receives a text message. The color instantly drains from his face. He rushes to James to display the message.
A text from Samantha's phone under a picture at Connor's Park, Ain't She Purty?
Immediately, James and his family speed toward Connor Park, specifically targeting a community bulletin board there. Pinned beneath a photograph of a dog named Albert, they discover a Ziploc bag containing a folded sheet of paper.
It's the first big break that happened in the case since obtaining some video evidence 3 weeks earlier.
It is a ransom note, typed out on a typewriter. The letter asserts that Samantha is still alive.
In the note, he is telling us that once he collects $30,000 in 6 months to a year, then he will give information potentially where Samantha's at.
It provides a debit card number linked to her bank account, instructing where the ransom funds must be deposited.
Along with the ransom note, there's a photo of a young woman.
She's naked, she's bound, her hair is braided, she's got duct tape over her mouth.
Accompanying the note is a proof-of-life photograph depicting a woman positioned beside a newspaper dated February 23rd.
I contacted James Koenig. If it was really his daughter, I knew that it was going to be heartbreaking for him to see that photo. It was just me and James Koenig in the interview room, and I put a photo in front of him. He stared at it for a long time. And then he said, "Yes, it is Samantha in the photo."
Upon learning of the ransom demand, James instructs Sergeant Markiewicz to utilize the reward money immediately. Consequently, $5,000 is transferred into the account that very day.
We had a trace basically on the card so that if the card was used, we would be notified. However, it was a 10-minute delay in being notified. And 10 minutes in Anchorage at midnight, you can drive out of town.
Anchorage houses approximately 500 automated teller machines, rendering total surveillance impossible. However, that night, the FBI receives a notification that Samantha's card has been active.
Our officers rushed to the scene, but the suspect is gone.
Granting them access to surveillance video from that specific location. The suspect is heavily disguised, wearing a mask, goggles, and a hood, effectively concealing all facial features. The suspect is clad in a bulky, puffy jacket emblazoned with the words Marine Corps across the back. Yet the critical lead for investigators is the Nissan SUV he is observed driving away in. This development creates a complex puzzle for detectives as the withdrawal limit restricts him to $500, forcing authorities to gamble on the probability that he will return for more cash. The Bureau urgently mobilizes agents to stake out every single publicly accessible automated teller machine in Anchorage, but the target's card does not surface again until March 7th in Wilcox, Arizona, a staggering distance of over 4,000 miles away. Although federal agents coordinate with Arizona law enforcement, a critical 10-minute lag allows the perpetrator to slip through the net. By the time units arrive, the subject has vanished, yet surveillance footage confirms it is the same individual taking calculated measures to conceal his identity. The variables have shifted, however, as he is now operating a white Ford Focus.
That ATM withdrawal happens on March 7th. There's another one that day in Lordsburg, New Mexico.
Then, on March 10th, the financial trail picks up again with a transaction in Humble, Texas.
And then the next day, there's another withdrawal in Shepherd, Texas.
During this whole time, we're asking ourselves, is Samantha with this individual? Is she in the vehicle?
The FBI immediately coordinates with the Texas Rangers, broadcasting a high-priority alert for all units to keep their eyes peeled for that specific white Ford Focus.
I get in my patrol car, just take off patrolling. I look to my right, and the first thing I look at is a white Ford Focus. So I called the Ranger.
We dropped everything we were doing then, and we told Brian, do not lose that car.
While federal teams scramble to the location, State Trooper Brian Henry identifies the vehicle and begins tailing the white Ford Focus from a strategic distance.
We got to get probable cause to get him stopped, so try to get in position to get him speeding or find another traffic violation.
The white Ford Focus is two vehicles in front of me. It accelerated rapidly. So I said, well, hang on a minute, he might be speeding. Checked him with radar, he was running 58 and a 55.
Trooper Henry activates his lights. The car pulls into a local restaurant.
As I walked up, I did realize we might be dealing with a kidnapping suspect.
As he closes the gap to inspect the ride, he peers into the back seat, hoping to spot Samantha, but confirms the driver is the sole occupant. Nevertheless, the grim possibility remains that she could be concealed in the trunk.
I kind of paused and looked through the window to see if I could see his hands.
How you doing? Good. I'm a power patrol. Reason we stopped is I kind of down there looking around. Where are you from? I'm from Alaska.
Upon checking the operator's license, the officer identifies the suspect as Israel Keys. Texas Rangers and FBI agents descend on the scene with rapid precision to secure the perimeter.
Hi there. Steve Raven with the Texas Rangers. Okay. How are you? I'm with FBI. Hi. Can we visit with you for a few minutes? Hey, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on. They didn't even tell me why I was pulled over. Can I look at your wallet? I gave you my ID. You're not searching anything. Look, you have not given me any information. I've been very open with you. I've been telling you everything. You're not searching anything of mine until I know what's going on and why I'm still standing here.
Knowing their tactical options are dwindling fast, if the victim is indeed trapped inside the vehicle's trunk, time is of the essence to breach the lock.
I don't need a search warrant to search the vehicle under the vehicle exception rule in Texas state law. It's just kind of. How does that work if it's? I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to debate with you. Okay. Okay. I'm taking whatever action I need to take.
When they finally pop the trunk, Samantha Koenig is nowhere to be found. Yet they uncover physical evidence that indisputably links Israel Keys to her abduction.
Here you go.
A gray hoodie, a mask, gloves, and goggles. The exact disguise captured on the ATM surveillance tapes, and concealed within the pockets are Samantha's phone and debit card.
We got her gun. So you're under arrest.
Detectives back in Alaska leveraged the identification of Israel Keys to execute a search warrant on his residence.
I sent our officers to Keys' residence immediately to see if Samantha was being held inside the house or being held captive there.
Where they immediately flag a white Chevy pickup truck and a silver Nissan Xterra SUV in the driveway.
The special assignment unit officers made entry into the home. We then searched the house, but Samantha's not in the house.
However, after a forensic team scours every square inch of the property, they find zero trace that Samantha was ever held there.
There was a shed separated from the house.
The whole shed was put onto a flatbed and taken back to the FBI building here in Anchorage.
When the FBI constructs a profile on Israel Keys, they uncover a startlingly normal facade involving a girlfriend and a 10-year-old daughter, alongside his ownership of a construction business, and a complete absence of any prior criminal record. On the surface, there were absolutely no red flags indicating he was capable of perpetrating such a crime.
The U.S. Marshals notified the court today that Israel Keys is in custody in the District of Alaska.
The Bureau's strategy hinges on getting Israel Keys to cooperate, as he is the sole keeper of Samantha's location. But following his extradition back to Alaska, Keys discovers through his legal counsel that investigators have seized his personal computers, prompting him to make a shocking and calculated strategic maneuver.
It's 15:48 by my watch. It's March 30th.
You understand your rights? Yes. Are you willing to waive those rights and talk to us?
Yes.
He figured that having his computer, we'd be able to find big pieces of evidence.
I think everybody really wants to know where Samantha is. Was that an okay place to start, or would you like to start elsewhere?
Yeah, we can pull up a map there of Palmer area.
Okay.
Keys guides the authorities to a location north of Anchorage, heading toward the Matanuska Valley.
In that, like, how many yards off the shoreline or feet off the shoreline?
Right there.
And pinpoints a specific spot on the frozen lake.
And what should they look for specifically?
Ice fishing spot.
Was it a hole that you cut, or was the hole there?
No, it was a hole I cut. You'll see it. You'll see where the hole was, probably.
And Israel Keys said that is where we would find Samantha Koenig.
So you killed her?
Yes.
We knew that Samantha Koenig is dead. We knew that there's no more hope.
Earlier today, a forensic dive team discovered in Matanuska Lake what investigators believed to be the body of Samantha Koenig.
a lot of people right now I know are just heartbroken. Everyone was rooting for her until the very end.
We couldn't believe it. We feel for the family. It's absolutely devastating.
Samantha's father, James, is gathered with family and friends at home when the devastating news breaks. The room goes silent as James's worst nightmare becomes reality.
I'd like to welcome you today to Samantha Koenig's celebration of life.
James was devastated knowing that she wasn't going to be back. James will not have any grandchildren. James will not be able to give his daughter a hug ever again because of this creep.
When did you first meet Samantha Koenig?
Never met her. Never even seen her before.
So why did you go to the Common Grounds coffee shop on that night at that time?
Because they were open late.
During the interrogation, Keyes divulges the grim details of Samantha's abduction.
I had my police scanner on, and I had it in my ear.
Recounting how he warned her against triggering the alarm, threatening that he would instantly know if law enforcement were notified and would end her life without hesitation.
Told her we were going for a little walk. We were only about 100 feet from the coffee stand, maybe 200 feet. And she tried to get away. I tackled her. After that, she knew I was serious. After that, she didn't give me problems. She kept trying to talk to me, and I had to tell her to shut up a few times. Because she was, trying to make friends and stuff. And
she's doing what she should be doing. She's really trying to personalize herself to him, and she's trying to do what she needs to do to get out of that situation.
As he drove through Anchorage, Keyes demanded Samantha's phone. When she admitted leaving it at the coffee hut, he actually turned the vehicle around to retrieve it. She attempted to deter him by claiming the door was alarmed, but he dismissed her warning.
He needed the phone in order to send the text to Samantha's boyfriend, which would ultimately buy him some time before police are notified that she's missing.
Keyes then transported her to his residence and forced her into the shed.
At the time, his girlfriend was in the home, was still awake. His daughter was also at home, asleep.
Keyes showed zero hesitation about holding Samantha captive mere feet from where his 10-year-old daughter slept. After restraining her and blasting loud music, he demanded her bank card, only to discover she had left it in her boyfriend's truck.
And that is when he leaves Samantha and goes back to Samantha's residence and goes into Dwayne's truck and ultimately finds the debit card.
It's now at least 3:30 in the morning. Israel gets back to the house, and he's now going to fulfill his plan.
That night, Israel Keyes sexually assaulted Samantha and took her life. The following day, he departs with his family for a vacation, where they would remain for the next few weeks. He executes the next phase of his scheme, securing ransom funds by feigning that Samantha is still alive.
So he bought an old Polaroid camera in a thrift store. He put some makeup on her body.
And he took a Polaroid of her, and he had a recent newspaper next to her.
Like I say, you got your monster.
The grim reality is that Samantha was deceased before authorities were even notified she was missing. The specific details of his daughter's fate are withheld from James Koenig. Nevertheless, he remains convinced she wasn't Keyes' inaugural victim and launches a dedicated Facebook page. He aims to reconstruct a timeline of Keyes' movements between 2004 and 2012, titling the page, "Have You Ever Met Israel Keyes? Possible Serial Killer." James's sole motivation is to secure closure for other families who may have lost a loved one. But as leads begin pouring in, the FBI finds itself inundated with reports linking to numerous missing persons cases nationwide, prompting them to question Israel Keyes directly.
Are there any other people that you're responsible for the death of?
I have lots more stories to tell if you're interested.
Keyes indicates a willingness to speak, but insists the interrogation proceed on his strict terms. He recognizes he holds the leverage.
There's certain aspects of the things that I've done that I
I would prefer it never became public.
Israel Keyes aims to suppress this information, primarily because he doesn't want his own daughter to discover the truth.
I think that he likes to just sit there in a way and perhaps get some sense of delight by telling these horrific stories in such a casual way, knowing that he's likely shocking the investigators.
Yet, that doesn't prevent him from relishing the spotlight. Who has been operating for many years. He details the meticulous planning behind each homicide and how he successfully evaded capture.
He would bury these kill kits in areas and then travel back to those locations to commit the next crime.
He'd have rope, he'd have gloves, he'd have tape, he'd have zip ties. Some of them he would have a gun in there.
While Keyes might be speaking, investigators are fighting an uphill battle to secure the names of every single one of his victims. They devote days to speaking with him, going on for hours and caving to his every demand, until a TV news station broadcasts a specific announcement.
A Channel 3 News investigation over the last several months has led us to the identity of the man accused of killing the couriers.
Realizing his name has gone public, he immediately stops talking.
I have no reason to tell you more information.
On May 23, 2012, Israel Keyes is slated for a court appearance. Reporters from every major network are present, though cameras are strictly banned inside the courtroom. James Koenig and his family are also in attendance.
I was expecting it to be super quick, literally 1 or 2 word answers of, do you say you're innocent or guilty? And it turned into something else.
At this particular juncture, we're not...
Keyes suddenly lunges from his seat, vaulting over the railing that divides him from the gallery. A marshal intercepts him just in time, tackling him to the floor, while a second officer subdues him with a taser.
Without making a sound, Keyes jumped the railing where family and friends of Samantha Koenig were seated together. James Koenig, Samantha's father, declined to comment outside the courtroom.
The next day, I interviewed Israel.
What's changed since yesterday? More tips.
By November 29th, detectives have secured only 2 names, yet Keyes refuses to offer any further cooperation. After 40 hours of interrogation spread across 8 months, Israel Keyes goes silent. 3 days later, a guard conducting a routine check of Keyes' cell discovers a horrific scene.
Federal inmate Israel Keyes was found dead in his jail cell.
A lot of people were glad he was dead. They think that's what he deserved, but there's a lot of information he took with him.
Authorities remain convinced that Keyes murdered 11 individuals, though at this point, they have positively identified only 3 victims: Bill Carrier, Lorraine Carrier, and Samantha Koenig. Regardless, Special Agent Kat Nelson is determined that more of these cold cases will be resolved, and she persists in her work, ensuring that the victims' families can finally achieve closure.
It won't be easy by any means, and it may take a long time, but I'll never give up trying.
Turning to James Koenig, Samantha's father, it is thanks to his tireless tenacity that this serial predator was captured, finally ending his reign of terror. Since his daughter's murder in 2012, he has established an organization dedicated to helping others locate missing loved ones. The group facilitates search operations while offering crucial support and guidance. The initiative is officially titled Seeking Alaska's Missing, or simply SAM for short. Friends and family are also lobbying to pass a bill designed to bolster workplace safety throughout Alaska, ensuring a tragedy like Samantha's never recurs, appropriately naming it the Samantha Koenig Safety Act. To this day, they are still fighting to enact this legislation and are appealing for public support. Although James has lost his only daughter, she remains forever in his heart, and through his advocacy, he ensures Samantha's legacy lives on.